Hello, everybody. How are you? Okay, questions? Well, I believe very strongly in the Second Amendment. We have people with mental disabilities, mental problems. It's too bad somebody can't figure that out. But we have a serious mental problem. And I'll tell you what, we better start figuring it out fast.
Mr. Trump,
yes, go ahead. I don't know. I just did so well with the evangelicals in the poll. I love them. They love me. I am Protestant. I am Presbyterian. I love the evangelicals, and it's really shown in the polls. And why do they love me? You'll have to ask them. But they do. They do love me. Thank you. Well, I like Ben Carson very much. He's a really fine man. He's a friend of mine. He's doing well also, and I like Ben Carson. Good man. I'm not thinking about that right now. I have too many other things. Well, if you look at Jeb Bush, where he said he wouldn't fund women's health care issues, okay, and women's health issues, I thought that was a terrible thing for him to say. And nobody will take care of women. I cherish women, and I say it all the time. I cherish women. I will take care of women. And I won't be going around saying I'm not going to fund a certain program. Women under my administration will be taken care of, not like Jeb Bush. What he said was a disgrace.
Mr. Trump, the South Carolina primary.
Well, all I do is some meet and greets. I mean, people ask me when I come in, when I say hello. So I do meet and greets. But as you know, other than the little donations where people send in $7 and $20 and even, you know, in some cases, hundreds of dollars. All I do is I will do on occasion a meet and greet. Yes, sir, go ahead.
There's a requirement in the South Carolina Republican Party that candidates sign a pledge that they will support the eventual nominee. Will you sign that pledge?
Well, we have plenty of time to think about it because I think that's September 30th, and there's a lot of time. So we'll be making announcements on different things over the next couple of weeks.
Mr. Trump, we seem to be getting a lot of support. Mr. Trump, we seem to be getting a lot of support, or growing support, from radical right-wing groups and white supremacist groups, neo-Nazi groups. Is this concerning?
That I don't know about. I mean, you're telling me something. I didn't know about that. Somebody else mentioned that also. I don't know about that.
Mr. Trump,
question?
What do you think the like concerns?
Yes, go ahead. About what? Oh, I haven't heard about it, but you know, he was on the other side, so he's saying things, and you'd really have to ask him. He's a wonderful guy. Sam Clovis you're talking about? He's a wonderful guy, a terrific guy, and I'm way in the head in Iowa. You know, I'm leading the polls by a lot, even before Sam joined, and we love to have Sam. And I mean, obviously, the fact that he joined, I think, says so much, but we love having Sam Clovis. Well, you're going to have to do something because you can't allow this to happen. And what happened in Virginia is absolutely terrible, so sad to see these magnificent two people, and the woman that was hurt, but these magnificent two people, so sad. So something has to happen. At the same time, it's not about the guns, it's about mental instability. You have people with great mental instability. And it's a shame because if you look at this man that did this horrible act, people knew that he was mentally unstable for years. And it's a shame that he couldn't have been in a hospital or something. Yes, go ahead. Well, I tell you what, she can maybe speak to Jeb Bush on that issue because he was very negative on women's health issues. But I've been very positive on women's health. In fact, my daughter Ivanka and my wife Melania were very, very strong on, you know, they said you should, they know how I feel about women and women's health issues. And they said you should really talk about it more. But for me, it's going to be a very major thing. I know Jeb Bush really said some bad things, and he said bad on Asian. All of a sudden, he's talking about anchor babies, and he steered it over to the Asians, and now the Asians are upset with Jeb Bush. So you're going to have to ask him about those. But I will take care of women's health and women's health issues better than anybody, and far better than Hillary Clinton, who doesn't have a clue, and I don't think maybe she won't even be in the race. We'll have to see, but maybe she won't. Yeah. Well, I've had great friendships in the African American community. As you know, they're suffering. They've never had bad job numbers like they do right now, especially African American youth. It's terrible what's happening. As you see, I have great relationships because you're seeing the poll numbers. One of the things that was so nice in South Carolina and other places where they do the polls and they break the polls down, I do great in the African American community. And you know, one of the reasons is because they know I'm going to create jobs. But I've had a great relationship with the African American community. I appreciate the question.
You just criticized the auto industry, the foreign auto industry, for exporting into the United States. The South is full of plants creating jobs. How do you conciliate?
Many jobs are taken from the United States because our trade negotiators are the worst. We don't have people that know anything about negotiation. Whether it's, and by the way, you can go back to the Iran deal, you can go back to trade deals. We don't have anybody in this country that knows what they're doing in terms of negotiation. We have a president that doesn't have a clue, and that's going to all change. Our country will be great again, that I can tell you. Well, I mean, I got a poll that was much higher. I'm at 30, he's at 4. And I think he's lucky to be at 4, to be honest. I would not want to be him in running for office in South Carolina. I think he's been a terrible representative for South Carolina. And all he does is attack me. His whole line is to attack Donald Trump. And the beauty is he went down to 0 in the national poll. He's got 0. That means out of thousands of people that are polled, he got nobody. I don't know how you can get 0. So I think it's really, you know, it got to be a point where it's almost laughable. But his primary mode of getting elected is to attack Trump. And he went from 4% to 2% to 0. He's 0 right now. He made a very big mistake when he ran, because the people of South Carolina are watching this farce, and I think they're very upset by it. You know, he has not been a good representative for South Carolina. With that being said, I lead the poll in South Carolina, and I lead with almost every group, including, as we said, the African American groups. They just came out, and I have tremendous support. I'm going to be coming down here soon and making a speech in front of small business, African American small business, and I look forward to that. Yes, sir, go ahead.
If you're leading, how do you fix the race relations problem this country?
It's a great question. Race relations problems are almost at an all-time worst. And two things. We need jobs and we need spirit. And, you know, President Obama, I really thought that he would be a unifier. The one thing I said, he's not experienced. I don't know how he's going to do. He won the election. But I thought that one thing he'd do is be a unifier, certainly between African American and white. And I will tell you, that's turned out not to be so. He has not been a unifier. He's been a divider. We need spirit in the country. We need cohesiveness, and we need jobs. We'll get it fixed. We'll get it fixed. I mean, they're great people. They want jobs so badly. You look at African American youth. There's 50, 60, 70% unemployment. We'll get it fixed. We'll take them back from China. We'll take them back from Japan. We'll take them back from Mexico. We'll take jobs back, and we're going to have jobs in this country. Okay.
There was a report out that you're going to begin outreach to some faith leaders and things too. Can you talk anything about that? And then I'm wondering if you're Presbyterian. What church do you attend there in New York City, and how often do you go?
I am Presbyterian Protestant. I go to Marble Collegiate Church. The church I was originally with was the First Presbyterian Church in Jamaica, which is out in Queens, New York. And I've had just great experiences at church, whether it's Sunday school or whatever it may be. But now I go to Marble Collegiate Church.
How often do you attend?
As often as I can, a lot. And I do, because I travel so much, I go around the country too.
What about the outreach to faith leaders? What do you intend to
Well, at some point I'm going to be meeting with ministers and pastors. I mean, one of the very sad things is that in Iran, and as part of the Iran deal, we have a pastor over there. He's in Iran right now as a prisoner because he's a minister, because he's a pastor, because he's a Christian. And we have 4 other people. Now, you tell me, why aren't these negotiators that made this horrible deal with Iran, 24 days, they do their own inspections, the whole thing is they get $150 billion and more. Why aren't they releasing our prisoners? Why didn't Kerry say, by the way, before we begin, release our prisoners? You have a journalist, you have 4 great people. One of them is there because he's a Christian. Why didn't they say, release our prisoners? And that should have happened 2 years ago. We are talking to Ted Cruz, who's a friend of mine and a good guy. about doing something very big over the next 2 weeks in Washington. It'll be announced, and it's essentially a protest against the totally incompetent deal that we're making with Iran. And by the way, even if you break it up, they're going to get $150 billion. They're going to get hundreds of billions of dollars, even if you break it up. And you know what I'd do? I wouldn't give them the money. I don't care what the deal. I would not give them the money. So that deal will be announced over the next, that location will be announced over a little period.
You mentioned in your speech the silent majority. Can you just expand a little bit on what you meant by that?
So you have a silent majority in this country that feels abused, that feels forgotten, that feels mistreated. And it's a term that hasn't been brought up in years, as you know. People haven't heard that term in many years. And it's sort of interesting as to why. There are all different reasons. But I think it's a very descriptive term. Every time I speak, I have sold-out crowds. Every time I speak, I have standing ovations. Every single time. It's the silent majority. They want to see wins. They want to see us have victory. We're not having victory anymore in this country. Whether it's trade, whether it's military, whether it's even the building of our military. You see what's going on? Every day I get listings for bases that are for sale. Our military is virtually for sale. I mean, I'm in the real estate business. I'm always getting listings. And the listings are for an army base, for a military base, for a naval base. And I'll tell you, the other thing is our vets are being treated horribly. We have vets that are the best people. Our wounded warriors are being treated terribly. And these are the best people we have in this country. And if I win, believe me, they are going to be not fourth-class citizens or third. They're going to be number one. Our vets, our wounded warriors, we are going to treat them the way they should have been treated. But they are being treated horribly, okay?
But are you worried about the history of that term?
I'm not worried about it because it's a very descriptive term, only in sense, I'm just bringing it to modern day. There is no better expression for what's happening, because this is a movement. There is no better expression for what's happening than the expression silent majority. Because that's what's happening. People are coming out. In Alabama, we had more than 30,000 people on a very, very warm day with rain getting ready to pour down in a stadium. It was unbelievable. You saw 4,000 people the other night in Iowa. You saw what happened in New Hampshire. You saw what happened today for a luncheon, where it broke every record. We have a silent majority that wants this country to have victories again. And we're going to do it. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Right here. Go ahead.